and welcome back to the channel. Can someone explain to me why the most eccentric, out-of-touch gamers, PlayStation fan base, but the ones I seem to get in contact with, or the ones I see on Twitch, Twitter, or X, however you want to, not only lock themselves in a little bubble and surround themselves by Sony and won't just come out of the bubble and just maybe open their mind and accept other things as reality. They just like to keep in this bubble and will not accept facts or anything. Not just that, they just seem to hate gaming in general. Now, I recently had a conversation with a guy called WooleyGamer. This fella. It started off simple enough. He was just talking about Helldivers 2 new DLC. I merely suggested that they should bring the game to Xbox just to support the devs, so the devs get more income, more revenue from the game being on Xbox. However, this really upset him. It's absurd. Here is the conversation. So let's go through the conversation and you can then give your opinion on it. Well, I'll give my opinion on it. You can give your opinion on in the comments. So let's go with this, shall we? Right, so it's here. This is WooleyGamer. It's here. Managed Democracy and Sweet Lippy are calling. Helldivers 2 Heart of Democracy, PS5 and PC games. Yeah, fair enough. I'd simply write, it's a shame Sony won't do what the devs would like and put this game on Xbox so more can play it and bring in more revenue. These games thrive on it, which they do. Gas titles and titles like this thrive on the more player base. Bigger player base, more money, more income, better the game. Would do no harm to the devs whatsoever. He responded, Xbox wouldn't earn their money, lol. Look at the clear obscure sales on Xbox, not even 3%, says it all. He just pulled that number out of his ass, 3%, I don't know what he's on about. And no, it doesn't say it all whatsoever. And I don't know why he's even deflected to clear obscure, a single player game. I don't know why he's made a comparison between a multiplayer game against the sales of a single player game. I don't know why he's done that. The man's a complete idiot. Anyway, let's continue, shall we? So I highlight to him, you just made up the percentage when the fact is more are playing it on Xbox and PlayStation, just like Oblivion. This is why the Helldivers devs themselves, they wanted to release the game on Xbox. They are missing out on millions of players thanks to Sony and the smooth brains, which is them, the PlayStation fans. You know, made it bigger. That's better. Here, I'm just going to Expedition 33. That'd be a lot simpler. Attracted a massive audience on Xbox Game Pass when it launched last week. Even despite the shadow drop of Oblivion Remastered a couple of days earlier, making Xbox the #1 platform for the game. Here we go. It's the #1 platform for the game. As reported by Game Business, new Ampere data has revealed that 45% of Expedition 33 players were on Xbox at launch, followed by 30% on PlayStation 5 and 25% on Steam. It was a similar situation for Oblivion Remastered, which racked up whopping 47% of players on Xbox, 30% on Steam, and 19% on PlayStation 5. So, just to clarify, despite the PlayStation having triple the amount of consoles sold, more people are playing games on Xbox than PlayStation 5. I mean, look at the Oblivion Remastered, 47% of players on Xbox, 30% on Steam, only 19% on PlayStation 5. So he goes on to say, nope, it wasn't even in the top 50 sales on Xbox, which is why you're referring to players, not buyers. I just don't get to see his point here, because, for example, Fortnite, how many copies is that sold? The game's free. He can't comprehend this game's not about selling copies. Their brains are just tuned into the 90s where it's all about selling copies of a game. That's their only motive of income for some reason. That's the only way of revenue, selling a hard copy of a game, which is not factual in 2025. This is what he can't grasp. These games are on Game Pass. Nobody's buying these games yet. More people are playing it. That means it's getting more people. It's their eyes into the game. They're buying more transactions, maybe. I go into the details with him just now. In fact, let's go into that. So I continue and say, because it was on Game Pass, which is why more people are playing it on Xbox and PlayStation despite the ×3 sales. They just get a bundle of money from Xbox for the game, then a percentage for downloads by players. It's already definite income compared to sales, which is not reliable. So yes, Helldivers 2 would make more money on if it went to different platforms. There is 100% factual. You can't just say, this is the mind-boggling thing, that he thinks if a game was on more platforms, it wouldn't make more money. That's just, how can you just come out with something so disingenuous as saying that if more people, the game was more available to more people, they will make more money. Or can you, this is the mindset they have. The whole support the devs narrative is completely debunked by themselves. They don't really want the support devs. They just want to gatekeep games. That's all they want to do. Console sales and gatekeep games. And they live on this little Sony train. They just keep going through the same tunnel over and over again. And they're just happy living in their little bubble world. Anyway, I digress. So he says, so yes, it didn't sell on Xbox. I said, if it released on GP, it wouldn't need to sell. That's the whole point of Game Pass. That's how subscription works. That's how subscription services work. If it didn't release on GP, it most certainly would have sold. You're a bit misguided, I say to him. So I'm keeping it all sort of level-headed here. I'm not being insulted. So it didn't sell. He's just hung up on the game selling. He cannot comprehend that they would make money from Game Pass, from MTs, or just Xbox would give them money, because Xbox have said before they give them money when a game first goes to, if they help develop the game or whatever, they get a sort of a load of money for it to release on Game Pass day one. But then they also get games money as the games are downloaded by players. They get a percentage of money there. This has already been confirmed. Phil even said it. This has all been confirmed already. But he won't accept that. He will not accept that it will make them revenue. He thinks nobody will play it or nobody will buy it on the Xbox, which is absolutely absurd. So to continue, why using the game on a subscription service to make the point a game that wouldn't sell? Because he's actually Helldivers 2 isn't on a subscription service, and he seems to be comparing that to games that are not that's on a subscription service and comparing the revenue of the two. I don't know why he's doing that. I don't know why he's comparing the two. He's saying this game didn't sell. He's comparing the sales of a game that's not on a subscription service against the sales of a game that is on a subscription service. Why would you do that? It's the two different markets. I don't know why he's comparing the two. Or that game's not selling where it's selling there. That's because it's on the subscription service there. So why would it sell? It's on a subscription. That's the whole point of a subscription service. That's how subscription services work. You play it via the subscription. I don't know what to explain. If you're watching this, Wooley, I don't know what there is more to explain. You need to Google subscription services and find out how they work. Perhaps, I don't know. He goes on then to say, I'll remind you that your argument is sort of, he sees he's losing the point here. I'll remind you that your argument was Helldivers on Xbox would make them more revenue. Nah, Xbox Game Pass is used for exposure and dev cost coverage. There's very little long-term revenue to be gained from Game Pass. Your subscription covers 300 plus games. It's a drop in the bucket. Yeah, it's completely blown his own narrative there. Your subscription service covers 300 games. It's a drop in the bucket. Yet the most played game is Expedition 33, which just launched. So if it's a drop in the bucket, how come it's the most played game on the Xbox? And then same goes for Doom, and it's just come out, and Obsidian, Oblivion. I keep calling it Obsidian, Oblivion. If they're just a drop in the bucket, how come they've been played more than PlayStation games? So you're sort of destroying your own narrative here. So I continue. Yes, 100% Helldivers on Xbox would make them more revenue than what they have so far, unless it sold 0 copies and 0 downloads. Yes, exactly. And they get a percentage per download of the game equals revenue. And I tell him wrong. Indeed it does. Yes, Expedition 33 was played more on Game Pass than PlayStation. I highlight these things to him. Simple. Then he goes on, ain't worth the extra work, fam. I always started talking like that. Supporting the Xbox Series S and X for everyone update for what? The equivalent of 100,000 copies sold? Game Pass doesn't create them revenue at all. It's so small that it ain't worth considering. One-off payment from MS does, but this ain't it. So I think he realises now he's on a loser. He's not going to win this argument, because the reason why he's not going to win this is I can back myself up with facts. I can supply links and facts and things to back my argument up. He's got nothing. He's just basing it on his ignorant gatekeeping opinion. He just doesn't want the game on Xbox, not because of money and everything. He just doesn't want an Xbox because PlayStation. Because he loves PlayStation, and for some reason this would hurt his ego, hurt his purchase. If the game was on Xbox, it would kill him. It'd break him inside. It'd break him inside. I said, I have what he just said. What he said. I said, no, it isn't. Of course it is. Of course it is. Even the devs disagree with you. That's what's crazy about this, which they did. They wanted the game on Xbox. Game Pass is too small, yet more people play the game on it than PlayStation. Where does that leave PlayStation? Which, you know, Game Pass is too small. He just said about... He just keeps... I don't know, he goes around in circles with this. Yes, he claims Game Pass is too small, yet we've already seen more people playing it on a PlayStation. So where does that leave the console sales of the PlayStation if more people are playing it on Game Pass, which is too small? There is no logical sense to that, is there? How can there be more players on the service that's too small than the one that's massive, apparently? So how can that be? It's not logical whatsoever. He has no logical mind whatsoever. No, you're quoting... This is here it gets funny now, because where I said the devs wanted the game on Xbox. You're quoting Square Enix. They never said Game Pass nor Xbox. They said other platforms. What's ironic is more devs are missing Xbox altogether than ever before. We're never going to agree. You do you. So to continue, I said you're wrong again. They said it's already on PlayStation PC. So when they said they wanted it on other platforms, what platform would they be referring to? If it's already on PlayStation PC, and they want it on other platforms, what platform are they referring to? There's only really two others, Nintendo and Xbox. And this game ain't going to run on Nintendo, that's for sure. So it's like, he's so deluded that he thinks, oh, they mean another platform, like some magical, mythical platform that doesn't exist. They want it on that one. The next game will be independent of Sony. What does that tell you? Because they've already come out and said the next game will be independent of Sony because basically they want it on all platforms, basically. And I said to him, name these devs that are missing Xbox. I asked him to name these devs. There's more and more devs. He said more and more devs year on year are skipping Xbox. Actually not true whatsoever. The complete opposite, if anything. So I said to him, they want me to list the devs that used to make PS exclusives but stopped. And then I'll quote here Arrowhead CEO Shams Georgiani about... Open that? Yes, I can. It was confirmed by Arrowhead CEO in the Helldivers Discord that the studio's next game is 100% self-funded and therefore is free from any deals with particular platforms. See, so they're referring here to PlayStation. They're not going to make the games exclusive basically any longer because it's holding them back. Because it does. Because they wanted to release this game on Xbox. Sony said no, and they're losing money. The devs know it, and Sony know it, but they don't care. PlayStation fans know it, but they don't care. Because in the end of the day, none of them really support the game or the developers. They just want the game, keep games and keep them off Xbox. Just for clout wars. Just for console warring. It was noted that Arrowhead loved working with PlayStation and is open to partnering with the platform again. But it sounds like Arrowhead is in charge of what the games that it is making next and where that game ends up. If you can't read from that they're going to put on Xbox, what are you not understanding here? What's he mean by, oh, they meant another platform? So it's already on PlayStation and PC. What other platform are you think they're referring to? Wake up, man. Arrowhead's community manager, Thomas Twinbeard Peterson, was asked about a potential Xbox port on the Helldivers 2 Discord. Twinbeard confirmed that Arrowhead would love Helldivers 2 to be on Xbox, but it's up to those at the very top of the Xbox and PlayStation tree to make that happen. They would love the game to be on Xbox, but it's basically, as we know, Phil would love this game to be on Xbox. He's already said it. Sony are blocking it. That's the only reason it's not on Xbox, because Sony are blocking it. So this continues, having me posted those quotes. He says that they're talking about Square Enix. I don't know if he's got the idea that that's Square Enix talking. And as for Helldivers 2, he's paraphrasing. He's literally quoting. His mindset is such blinkered, narrow vision. He will not see fact. You can present it in front of him, put it before him. Here we go. Look, it's in front of your face there. He will not see it. He'll be like that. No, can't. No, don't see it. No, you're talking about someone else. No, it's here in front of your face. Look. No, can't see anything. No. It's weird to see. It's weird to see in real time how their brains work. I said, what the fuck are you on about? This has nothing to do with Square Enix. It doesn't. I don't know why. It doesn't have a mention of Square Enix even in it. There's a quote from them. It isn't paraphrasing. Lol. Oh, PS Fanboy is this deluded. Everything you claimed isn't supported by any facts. And then he goes on. You're commenting about more and more devs moving away from exclusivity. We're suggesting Square Enix. No, surely you can't mean Arrowhead. Yes, they literally said the next game is going to be going to be on more platforms. They don't want to be owned, basically conquered by Sony and restricted to one platform. They said this. I don't know why he thinks it's me or anything else, or I'm making this up. I presented it to him. I also go on to say, you made a comment claiming more and more devs are moving away from Xbox. I asked you to list them, which you didn't. Now I said more and more PlayStation exclusives are moving away from PlayStation. And then I suggested Square Enix. They've openly come out and said their games now moving forward won't be exclusive. Arrowhead, as I've just shown. Hideo Kojima, Death Stranding. Atlas, Sega, games like the Personas, the Yakuza games, all used to be PlayStation exclusives. And now they've all moved away because what are they chasing? The money, the revenue, and they're just not getting it from one platform. It's simple business. So yeah, and then I posted again because he tried to claim that Arrowhead never said that. They don't want the game on Xbox. So I put it down there again in front of him and just highlighted the main part. The Helldivers 2 Discord, Twinbeard confirmed that Arrowhead would love Helldivers 2 to be on Xbox. But as we see, the rest of it is up to Sony and Microsoft to make it happen. Just to clarify, if anyone here that can read, the Xbox and PC gamers can read, PlayStation fans will just sort of skip words and go, yep, don't see the word Xbox there. I'll read it out so you don't have to read. Arrowhead would love Helldivers 2 to be on Xbox. There it is. So the conversation carries on a bit. So I'm going to skip through some of it because he still is just, he won't see it. He will not see it. He just so deluded, so brainwashed. It's scary. It's scary at this point. Anyway, so we get to, because this is the point I want to make, where he says people putting their games on Game Pass will make no money. It's day one on Game Pass. You understand, therefore, a deal has to be made by Microsoft and the devs were paid, yes. Because he's trying to say that, as I said earlier, games that release day one on Game Pass, usually Microsoft pay them money, which they do for it to release day one on Game Pass and helps them develop the game. True. I said, yeah, I agree with that 100%. He's right on that. He's true. But also, per download, the devs also get money per download. So I say yes. So GTA being on Game Pass, the devs get money, right? I mean, GTA was on Game Pass, come off, now it's gone back on there. Why would GTA be on Game Pass for a second time? Why would them devs, massive devs, making tons of money, why would they put the game on Game Pass? Now, he's told about sales, he won't make any sales. So why would GTA put the game on Game Pass? Why? They're not going to generate sales from it. He's correct, won't generate sales. So what motive would they have to put the game on Game Pass? GTA. Why would games like that? Why is MLB on Game Pass? Why is MLB on Game Pass? It's going to generate sales. So why would you put these games on Game Pass? MAUs, microtransactions, and downloads. That is why games being on Game Pass generate revenue for the developers. This is the simple fact why this happens. And he said, yes, I told you, devs were paid to allow GTA on Game Pass again. What part of this aren't you grasping? How's Game Pass still work? That's how Game Pass still work. He's almost there, but just stops short of he just thinks they just give him a lump of, but even him just saying that, yes, they give you money for your game to be on Game Pass. Yes. All right, then let's just go with that. Let's just say you don't get money for downloads. You pay for it to be on Game Pass. So if Helldivers went on Game Pass, it would get money, yes? You almost agree with me in a likewise sort of roundabout kind of way. You agree with me that the money the devs would generate revenue by putting the game on Game Pass. So what does sales got to do with any of this? Why has the game had to sell when you're even saying that they generate money through Game Pass? They pay them money, the devs money. Why? What? Can you see why this conversation was blowing my mind? You know, I'm gonna go and just touch on something else here that happened during this conversation. And it's this conversation. See, while this was going on, I messaged him and said, does he want to start a podcast? So I'll read through this for you. Would you like to run a monthly podcast with me? It's never been done before. 2 sides in a podcast. Pay attention to what I'm writing here. 2 sides in a podcast. Podcasts are always, everyone supports the same platform. I usually get Xbox-centric podcasts, PC-centric, PlayStation-centric. We will give our opinions in debate and have guests. both in the UK too, which makes things simple. His reply back sounds intriguing. It's original. Every other podcast is a bubble podcast, which they are. He does 100%. He goes, I'm listening. He's interested in this idea. Look at it this way. There are PlayStation podcasts and Xbox podcasts. None of them cross over with debates direct from each side. Also, get the viewership from both fan bases, not just one. You have a YouTube channel? To ask him. So the premise is, there's a podcast, comes out every month. We have PlayStation side, Xbox side, and they have just debates, because we see all this nonsense on Twitter and other places. We just see videos about videos just going at each other. But we don't have everyone in one place. A podcast where you just got both sides having it out there and just sorting something out and discussing gaming and sorting it out there and then. It's always in a bubble. So that's my suggestion. It would be easier both in the UK and it would be great. He seems on board with this. He seems interested, doesn't he not? And he goes on, WooleyGamer YouTube went on hiatus since daughter was born, fair enough. Had a pretty solid podcast. This is great now. So he's got a YouTube channel, I've got a YouTube channel. Me too. So this could be a plan. We could rotate between channels each week or month whenever we do it to build both channels. That sounds fair enough, doesn't it? Does that sound fair? Yes. Obviously, will be a debate, but we try to keep it clean and not too toxic. So what have I said here? Right, just clarify. You can go through it backwards and forwards and read through it as you will. Oh, let me scroll up a bit so you can actually see what I've rewritten here. Go backwards and forwards and see it. Oh, there we go. Oh, I can't. Still not getting put in. Let me shrink my thing some more. There we go. Right. Yeah, so me too. Could be a plan, yada, yada, yada. That sounds fair enough, doesn't it? So that's kind of where we left it. There's a little bit more to this conversation, but we'll come back to it because then something happens and you see a flip in the comments here from his side. Right, so he seems all on board. I've said, it's sort of be a PlayStation Xbox debate. We go at each other, yada, yada, yada. But we try to keep it non-toxic and civil. And it'd just be a good chat. And both things can come in the comments. I thought it'd be a great idea. It'd be good, and it's not done before.
All I'm going to say, mate, is you're coming from a seat of terrible, intellectual dishonesty and bad faith.